Rev up your nostalgia for roaring engines and chrome exteriors. We're cruising into the top 7 muscle cars of the legendary 1960s. Number 7, 1967 Shelby Cobra 427. The 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 wasn't exactly built for subtlety. It was a brawny beast of a car, a two-seater roadster with a low-slung design that hugged the ground like a determined bulldog. The sleek curves and powerful hood bulge promised raw, untamed performance, and it certainly delivered. Under that exterior lived the legend, a 427 cubic-inch V8 engine that purred with a promise of neck-snapping acceleration. This wasn't your everyday grocery getter. This was a car that could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 4 seconds, leaving stoplights and surprised onlookers in the dust. Owning a 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 wasn't just about driving, it was an experience. It was a statement. It was a reminder that sometimes the most exhilarating journeys are the ones with the wind whipping through your hair and a grin plastered on your face. Now, this wasn't a car for the faint of heart. It was a demanding machine, a mechanical bull for the skilled rider. But for those who crave the thrill of untamed power and a design that left everyone staring, the 1967 Shelby Cobra 427 was pure automotive poetry in motion. Number 6, 1964 Pontiac GTO. In 1964, Pontiac tossed a grenade into the staid world of mid-size sedans. The result? The GTO, a muscle car legend that still turns heads today. This wasn't your grandpa's grocery getter. Sure, it shared the Tempest's basic frame, but the GTO wore its performance credentials proudly. Think bulging hood with twin scoops, a hood-mounted tachometer, because subtlety is for the weak, and sporty wheels. It was a sleeper with serious bite. Under the exterior lurked a tire-shredding V8 with 2 available beasts, a 325 horsepower option and a tire-smoking 348 horsepower monster. Mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, this wasn't a car for the faint of heart. The GTO wasn't all bark and no bite, though. Its suspension was tweaked for tighter handling, making it surprisingly nimble for its size. However, cornering wasn't exactly its forte. This was a car happiest devouring straightaways with a satisfying roar. The 1964 Pontiac GTO was a game-changer. It was a muscle car with undeniable style and performance that punched above its weight. It was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a sleeper that would surprise even the most seasoned gearhead. Number 5, 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 wasn't much to look at from the outside. No flashy spoilers or body kits here. This muscle car was a sleeper, a wolf in sheep's clothing with the classic lines of a first-gen Camaro. But beneath that exterior lurked the real story. The ZL1 packed a monstrous aluminum block 427 cubic-inch V8 engine, the first of its kind for Chevy. This wasn't your average muscle car motor. We're talking about a hand-built powerhouse that could churn out an estimated 500 horsepower. Back in 1969, that was enough to leave most Corvettes, and even some Ferraris, in the dust. Imagine lining up at the drag strip. The lights turn green and the ZL1 rockets down the track, clawing its way to a quarter-mile time in the low 13 seconds. Not bad for a car that looked like it could be your neighbor's grocery getter. Only 69 ZL1s were ever built, and today, they're considered holy grails for collectors, often fetching well over $1 million at auction. So if you ever come across a dusty old Camaro at a car show, take a closer look. It might just be a ZL1 legend in disguise. Number 4, 1968 Plymouth Roadrunner HEMI. The 1968 Plymouth Roadrunner HEMI wasn't your average feathered friend. Sure, it had the cartoon character's signature, beep-beep horn, but under the exterior lurked a beast. Forget fancy chrome and sculpted curves. The Roadrunner was all about raw muscle. Its design was blunt and purposeful, a 2-door coupe with a wide stance that promised pavement-shredding action. Pop the hood and you'd find the legendary 426 cubic-inch HEMI engine, a powerhouse that could launch this car from 0 to 60 in a neck-snapping 5 seconds. That's faster than many modern sports cars. But with 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, the Roadrunner wasn't just quick, it was a force to be reckoned with. Forget catching up to this bird, it'd leave you in the dust with a hilarious beep-beep as it disappeared down the road. The 1968 Roadrunner HEMI wasn't about luxury or comfort. It was a bare-bones machine built for speed. But that's exactly what made it so special. It was a true muscle car icon, a legend on wheels that offered pure, exhilarating performance. If you ever get the chance to grab the wheel of one, hold on tight. You're in for a wild ride. Number 3, 1968 Chevrolet Nova SS. The 1968 Chevrolet Nova SS was a looker, no doubt about it. Cruise down Main Street and heads would turn. Its design was sleek and sporty, with clean lines that accentuated its muscular stance. The iconic SS badge on the grille announced its performance pedigree, while the optional cowl induction hood hinted at the power lurking beneath. Chrome accents gleamed on the bumpers and trim, adding a touch of flash to this otherwise understated muscle car. But the 1968 Nova SS wasn't just about show. Pop the hood and you'd find a variety of engine options, with the legendary 396 cubic inch monster being the top dog. Mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, this beast could launch you from 0 to 60 in a hair-raising few seconds. Sure, it wasn't the most luxurious ride on the road. But for gearheads who craved a thrilling driving experience, the 1968 Nova SS was a dream come true. It was a symbol of a bygone era, a time of muscle and machismo. If you ever get the chance to get behind the wheel of one, hold on tight, this legend will leave you breathless. Number 2, 1965 Shelby GT350. The 1965 Shelby GT350 was a Mustang that had taken some anger management classes, emerging with a more aggressive stance. Look past the standard Mustang body, and you'd find a hood that hinted at the fury beneath, boasting functional air scoops. Subtlety went out the window entirely with the optional Shelby-branded fiberglass hood with its dramatic vents. Under the exterior, that fury was a tuned 289 cubic inch V8 engine, churning out 306 horsepower. This wasn't your average pony car, it was a force to be reckoned with, capable of rocketing from 0 to 60 in a brisk 6.6 seconds. That translated to a top speed of 138 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest American cars you could buy in 1965. Overall, the 1965 Shelby GT350 wasn't for everyone. It was a raw, untamed beast of a machine, a legend that carved its name in drag racing and road courses. If you craved comfort, look elsewhere. But if you craved adrenaline-pumping speed and a connection to a car built for pure driving pleasure, the 1965 Shelby GT350 was a legend in the making. Number 1, 1969 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet. The 1969 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet wasn't just a car, it was a statement on wheels. It wasn't the most subtle stallion in the stable, boasting a hood with a prominent air scoop that hinted at the fury beneath. The classic lines of the Mustang were accentuated by a variety of spoilers and stripes, making it clear this wasn't your average pony car. This Mustang wasn't afraid to turn heads, and it did so with a touch of old-school American bravado. Pop the hood, and the reason for all the showmanship becomes clear. The 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet engine was a force to be reckoned with. Officially rated at 335 horsepower, this wasn't just powerful, it was legendary. With a growl that could wake the neighbors and a thirst for fuel that would make a gas station wince, the 428 Cobra Jet was a true fire-breathing machine. Overall, the 1969 Ford Mustang 428 Cobra Jet wasn't for the faint of heart. It was a muscle car in its purest form, a roaring testament to American horsepower. It wasn't the most comfortable ride, and practicality was definitely not its strong suit. But for those who craved a slice of automotive history and the unbridled thrill of speed, the 428 Cobra Jet was a dream come true. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. If you found it helpful, then make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.